His father shook the cushions irritably. "Nothing here," he said, and sat down heavily in the armchair. "Here's a matchbox on the floor." She opened the box, but there's nothing in it. "Oh, heck," Gwyn moaned. "What sort of insect was it, love? Perhaps we can find it for you." His mother was always eager to help where school was concerned. "A spider," Gwyn said. "Oh, Gwyn," moaned Mrs. Griffiths, "not spiders. I've just cleaned this house from top to bottom. I can't abide cobwebs." "Spiders eat flies," Gwyn retorted. "There are no flies in this house," Mr. Griffiths said. "And when you found your particular spider, you keep it in that box. If I find it anywhere near my dinner, I'll squash it with my fist, school or no school." "You're a mean old man," cried Gwyn. Mrs. Griffith gave an anguished sigh, and her husband stood up, but Gwyn fled before another word could be spoken. He climbed up to his room, and nothing followed, not even a shout. He had turned on the light as soon as he entered the room, so he was not immediately aware of the glow coming from the open-top drawer. He walked over to the window to draw the curtains and looked down to see Arianwen sitting on the whistle. Incredibly, she must have pulled the whistle from beneath the yellow scarf. But on consideration, Gwyn realized it was a small feat for a creature that had just conjured a girl into a web. And what of the girl now? Had she been mere gossamer? After all, a trick of the firelight on a silver cobweb? "Why couldn't you stay where you were?" Gwyn inquired of the spider. "You caused me a bit of bother just now." Arianwen moved slowly to the end of the whistle, and it occurred to Gwyn that she had selected it for some special purpose. "Now?" he asked in a whisper. Arianwen crawled on the whistle. Gwyn picked it up and held it to his lips. It was cracked, and only a thin sound came from it. He shrugged and opened the window. Arianwen climbed out of the drawer and swung herself onto his sleeve. "But there's no wind," he said softly, and he held his arm up to the open wind. "See, no wind at all." The spider crawled onto the window frame and ran up to the top. She reached the center. She let herself drop on the shining thread until she hung above Gwyn's head, a tiny lantern glowing against the black sky. Gwyn had been wrong. There was a wind, for now the spider was swaying in the open window, and he could feel the breath of ice-cold air on his face. "Shall I say something?" he mused. "What shall I say?" Then, without any hesitation, he called, "Gwydion! Gwydion! I am Gwydion! I am Math! I am Gilfaethwy." Even as he said the words, the breeze became an icy blast, rattling the windows and tugging at his hair. He stepped back, amazed by the sudden violence of the air. Arianwen spun crazily on her silver thread, and the wind swooped into the room, tearing the whistle from Gwyn's hand and whisking it out through the open window. Now the sound of the wind was deafening, terrifying too, for where a moment before the land had lain tranquil in a frosty silence, there was now an uproar, a moaning, groaning and screaming in the trees that was almost unearthly. Sheep on the mountains cried out in alarm and ran for shelter, and down in the yard the dog began to howl as though his very soul was threatened. Gwyn heard his father step outside to calm the dog. "It's damn peculiar kind of wind, though," he heard him say. Something shot into the bedroom and dropped with a crack on the bare floorboards. It was a pipe of some sort, slim and silver like a snake. Gwyn stared at it apprehensively. Then he slowly bent and picked it up. It was silky smooth and had almost living radiance about it, as though it had no need of human hands to shine and polish it. Tiny, delicate lines encircled it, a beautiful pattern of knots and spirals, shapes that he had seen on gravestones somewhere, and framing the picture in his Nine's old books. Almost fearful, he put the pipe to his lips, but he did not play it. He felt that it had not come for that purpose. He sat on the bed and ran his fingers over the delicate pattern.